My name is Margaret Chen, and I'm 68 years old. When my husband Robert died 2 years ago, my children inherited his $45 million tech empire, the downtown offices, with the view of the Golden Gate Bridge, the Palo Alto estate, the Tesla collection, the stock portfolios that could fund a small country. I got his vinyl record collection from the garage, not the main house, not the beach condo in Santa Cruz, not even my own wedding ring back, which my daughter Emma said should stay in the family before slipping it into her Hermes bag. Just boxes and boxes of dusty albums that Robert had been collecting since the 70s, back when we were broke college kids sharing a studio apartment in the Tenderloin. Standing in that lawyer's office in my black dress from Macy's, watching my children sign papers without even looking at me, I felt something inside me go quiet. Not broken, just quiet, like a door closing very softly. "Mom, you understand, right?" Emma said, not waiting for an answer. She was already on her phone, her manicured nails clicking against the screen. "Dad built this company. We've been working there for years. It makes sense." Ryan nodded, adjusting his Rolex. "And honestly, those records might be worth something on eBay. Vintage vinyl's hot right now. Should cover a nice assisted living place." "Assisted living?" I said. "Well, you can't stay in the house." Emma finally looked up from her phone. "We're listing it next week. 3.5 million, the realtor says. You'll get a cut, obviously." "A cut of my own home?" "Dad's home, technically." That was Victoria, Ryan's wife, speaking for the first time. She'd been standing in the corner, quiet as a snake. The deed was in his name. The lawyer, Mr. Patterson, cleared his throat. "Actually, Mrs. Chen, about the house." "It's fine," I said. Because what else could I say? I was tired. I'd been tired since Robert's funeral, where Emma spent the entire service texting her publicist about managing the narrative, and Ryan disappeared twice to take investor calls. I'd been tired since the hospital, where I held Robert's hand while he died and our children were stuck in traffic, or so they said. I'd been tired for 45 years of making myself small so Robert could be big, of smiling at tech conferences while venture capitalists ignored me, of raising 2 children who somehow learned to measure love in stock options. "The records are in the garage," Ryan said. "We'll have them delivered wherever you end up." That's what I was now. Wherever you end up. I signed where Mr. Patterson pointed. I didn't read the papers. What would have been the point? 3 days later, movers I didn't hire showed up at the house. My house, where I'd planted the garden, where I'd painted every room, where I'd nursed 2 babies and buried 1 dog and spent 43 years of my life. "We're here for the Chen estate sale," the man said. "There's no estate sale." He showed me his phone. An email from Emma authorizing the removal of all furniture, art, and miscellaneous items. The house was being staged for wealthy buyers who wanted it empty of memories. "My things," I said. "My photos. We were told to box up personal items for storage." He handed me a facility address in Daly City. "Your daughter's already paid for 6 months." I watched them carry out my life in boxes. The movers were kind. They let me keep 1 suitcase of clothes, my purse, and my phone. Everything else disappeared into a truck. "Where you headed, ma'am?" one of them asked. I didn't know. I called Emma. Voicemail. I called Ryan. His assistant answered, said he was in meetings all week. Could she take a message? I sat on the porch steps of the empty house and cried. Not loud, just quiet tears that came and kept coming. That's when Grace pulled up. My sister had always been the successful one. The Stanford Law School graduate, the partner at Morrison and Forster, the one who never married, never had kids, and never pretended to be anything less than brilliant. "I heard," she said, getting out of her Mercedes. "Emma's assistant called about updating Dad's trust documents. Mentioned you were transitioning to senior living. I don't have anywhere to go." "Yes, you do." She picked up my suitcase. "My place. And tomorrow, we're going to have a conversation about what exactly those children of yours are up to." Grace's apartment in Russian Hill had a view of the bay and no memories. I slept for 14 hours and woke up to the smell of coffee and the sound of my sister on the phone, her lawyer voice sharp as glass. "Yes, I'm representing her now." "No, you may not liquidate any further assets without her written consent, because she's your mother, not your ATM. That's why. She hung up. Ryan tried to access Robert's personal accounts this morning, the ones supposedly frozen during probate. How do you know? Because I have friends at every bank in this city. She poured me coffee. Maggie, I need you to tell me something honestly. Did Robert talk to you about money before he died? We never talked about money. He said not to worry. And you didn't? I thought about all those years of watching Robert build Chen Technologies from our living room, of making dinner while he took investor calls, of nodding and smiling while he explained things I didn't understand. I taught music, I said. High school. I made $35,000 a year. Robert made, I don't know, millions. What was I supposed to say about it? Grace was quiet for a moment. Did he leave you anything? Anything personal? Just the records. Show me. The boxes had been delivered to Grace's building storage. 87 boxes of vinyl, organized by year and genre in Robert's meticulous handwriting. Jazz, classical, rock, soul. He spent every weekend down here, I said, running my fingers over the albums. I thought he was hiding from me. Maybe he was hiding something for you. We went through them, one by one. Miles Davis, John Coltrane, the Beatles. Everything pristine, protected in plastic sleeves, each one cataloged. In the 43rd box, I found our wedding song, At Last, by Etta James. The record we'd danced to in that tiny apartment, broke and happy and young. I pulled it out, and something rattled inside the sleeve. Grace and I looked at each other. Inside was a hollowed-out album, and inside that, a flash drive and a note in Robert's handwriting. Maggie, I'm sorry I had to hide this. I wanted to tell you 1,000 times. Play track 7 of our wedding song. The password is the day you said yes. I love you. R. Dawn. My hands shook so hard Grace had to take the flash drive. What day did you say yes? She asked. May 15th, 1979. We went back to her apartment. She plugged the flash drive into her laptop, entered the date. The screen filled with folders, financial documents, legal papers, audio files dated over the last 5 years. Grace opened the first document and her face went white. Maggie, she said quietly, did you know Robert had a second company? What? Chen Audio Technologies, an AI music therapy startup. He founded it in 2003, 21 years ago. The room tilted. That's impossible. I would have known. She turned the laptop toward me. There it was. Articles of incorporation, board meeting notes, patents for technology that used music to treat Alzheimer's, PTSD, depression, investment rounds, acquisition offers. And at the bottom of the document, in bold letters, 100% ownership. Margaret Chen. This is worth. Grace scrolled through the valuations. Maggie, this is worth $300 million, and it's entirely in your name. He transferred it to you in 2019, 4 years before he died. I couldn't breathe. Why? Let's find out. She opened one of the audio files. Robert's voice filled the room. October 14th, 2020. Maggie, if you're hearing this, I'm gone, and you found what I couldn't say while I was alive. I built Chen Audio Tech the year Emma turned 21. I watched my children turn into people I didn't recognize, entitled, cruel, obsessed with money they didn't earn. I gave them everything, and it ruined them. That was my fault, not yours. You tried to tell me. I didn't listen. I started crying. I built the second company in secret because I wanted to protect something. Protect you. The money from Chen Technologies went to them because that's what they cared about. But this company, this was built on your love. The music you taught me to hear. The compassion you showed every troubled kid in your classroom. This technology helps people heal through music, Maggie. Just like you healed me. This is yours. Only yours. I'm sorry I hid it. I was ashamed of what our children became. I was ashamed I let it happen. There were dozens of files. Years of Robert's voice, explaining everything. How he'd noticed Emma embezzling from Chen Technologies in 2018. How Ryan had been running a side scheme, billing fake consulting contracts. How they'd both assumed he didn't notice, because he was old and losing it. How he'd hired investigators, gathered evidence, and decided not to confront them. Because I failed them, his voice said. I taught them that money was all that mattered. I can't undo that. but I can make sure they don't destroy you too. The last file was dated 2 weeks before he died. Maggie, they're planning something. I heard Emma on the phone yesterday, talking about having you declared incompetent after I'm gone. They think there's more money hidden somewhere. They're right, but they'll never find it without you. The company, the accounts, everything is keyed to your biometrics now. Fingerprint, retinal scan, voice authorization. They can't access any of it. When they realize that, they'll come after you directly. Don't let them win, Maggie. You're stronger than they know. Stronger than I ever told you. I'm sorry. I love you. Don't let them make you feel small ever again. I listened to my dead husband's voice and felt something crack open inside my chest. Not breaking. Opening. What do we do? I asked Grace. She smiled, and it wasn't kind. We let them hang themselves. The next call came 3 days later. Emma, her voice honey-sweet. Mom, we've been so worried about you. We heard you're staying with Aunt Grace? I'm fine. Well, actually, Ryan and I have been talking, and we think, with Dad gone, you might need some support. Some professional care. I don't need care. Mom, you're almost 70. Living alone at your age, it's dangerous. We found this beautiful place in Marin. Full-time staff, activities, and they have a music room. You'd love it. I'm not going to a nursing home, Emma. It's not a nursing home. It's a community. And honestly, Mom, we're concerned. You've seemed confused lately. Forgetful. I hadn't. But Grace had coached me. Oh, I said, letting my voice waver. Well, I forget sometimes. Exactly. Emma's voice brightened. That's exactly what we mean. Look, there's a doctor who wants to meet you. Dr. Harrison. He's a specialist in cognitive decline. Very respected. Could you meet with him? Just to ease our minds? I suppose. Perfect. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., at the house. We'll all be there. She hung up. I looked at Grace. They're going to try to have me declared incompetent, I said. I know. And we're going to let them think it's working. She handed me a small device. This is a recording pen. Clip it to your sweater. Don't take it off. We need everything they say. The next day, I dressed in my oldest cardigan and practiced forgetting things. Grace dropped me off a block away. Remember, she said, you're confused. You're worried. You're the helpless widow they think you are. The house looked different with staging furniture. Cold, like a hotel. Emma was there with Victoria. Ryan was on his phone, and there was a man in an expensive suit who introduced himself as Dr. Harrison. Mrs. Chen, thank you so much for meeting me, he said. His smile was practiced. Your children are concerned about some recent cognitive changes. I'd like to ask you a few questions, if that's all right. Of course, I said, and let my hands tremble just a little. He asked me to remember 3 words. Draw a clock. Count backwards from 100. I got everything wrong. I see, he said, making notes. And Mrs. Chen, have you been managing your finances? Paying bills? Robert always handled that. I'm sure he did. The thing is, your children are worried you might be taken advantage of. There are people who prey on widows, especially wealthy widows. I'm not wealthy, Emma laughed. Mom, Dad left you the house sale proceeds? That's almost $1 million. He did? See? Emma turned to Dr. Harrison. She doesn't even remember what she owns. Victoria leaned forward. Margaret, we think it would be best if Emma and Ryan managed your affairs for you. Just temporarily. Until you're feeling better, there's a lovely facility in Marin, Dr. Harrison added. Very comfortable, and your children could make sure you're taken care of financially. What about the records? I asked. Robert's records? Ryan sighed. Mom, we sold those. Some collector bought the whole lot for $30,000. We put it in your account. You sold them? They were just records. Mom, you don't even have a record player anymore. I felt actual tears come then. They'd sold the one thing Robert had left me, the one thing that mattered. I want to go home, I said. This isn't your home anymore, remember? Emma's voice was gentle, patronizing. We sold it. But don't worry. We found you somewhere perfect. All you need to do is sign a few papers, Dr. Harrison said. Power of attorney. just so your children can help you." He slid documents across the staged coffee table. I picked up the pen. "Mom?" Ryan sounded uncertain. I looked up at him, at Emma, at Victoria's satisfied smile, at the fake doctor they'd hired to declare me incompetent, and I stopped shaking. "The thing is," I said, my voice steady now, "I don't think I will sign those." Emma's smile froze. "Mom, you're confused." "I'm not confused. I'm angry." I stood up. "You sold your father's records. The ones he left me. The ones that had his final message to me." "What message?" Ryan said. "About how you've been embezzling from Chen Technologies for 5 years, Ryan. About your fake consulting contracts. About how you've stolen approximately $7 million from the company you just inherited." His face went white. "And Emma. He knew about the marketing funds you've been funneling to your personal accounts. Another $3 million, by his count." "That's insane," Emma said, but her voice shook. "And Victoria." I turned to my daughter-in-law. "Robert had a very interesting recording of you on the phone with Dr. Harrison here, planning this entire incompetency hearing, discussing how to access my accounts once you had power of attorney." Dr. Harrison stood up. "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about fraud. I'm talking about elder abuse. I'm talking about conspiracy." I pulled the recording pen from my sweater. "And I'm talking about every word you've said in this house being recorded and currently uploading to my lawyer's secure server." The room went silent. "You wouldn't," Emma whispered. "I already did. Grace has the evidence. All of it. Robert's files, your embezzlement, the fake doctor, your plan to have me declared incompetent. Everything." "Mom, listen," Ryan started. "No. You listen. For 45 years, I listened. I stayed quiet while your father built his empire, and you two learned all the wrong lessons from it. I stayed small, invisible, the music teacher wife who didn't understand business. Well, here's something you don't understand." I pulled out my phone and opened the Chen Audio Technologies app. Robert didn't just leave me his old records. He left me a company, Chen Audio Tech. $300 million in AI music therapy technology, 100% in my name. Has been for 4 years. Emma grabbed for my phone. I stepped back. It's biometrically locked. Fingerprint, retinal scan, voice authorization. Only I can access it. Robert made sure of that. He knew you'd try this. "That's impossible," Ryan said. "We would have known. You didn't know because you never paid attention to anything except money. You didn't know your father spent 20 years building something beautiful while you were stealing from him. You didn't know he was documenting everything you did. You didn't know I wasn't the helpless woman you thought I was." Victoria's face had gone cold. "You can't prove any of this." "Actually, I can. Grace is filing charges this afternoon. Fraud, embezzlement, elder abuse, attempted conservatorship under false pretenses." I looked at Dr. Harrison. "And you're going to lose your medical license. If you even have one." He left without a word. "Mom, please." Emma's voice cracked. "We're your children." "I know. And that's the only reason I'm giving you a choice." "What choice?" I sat back down, but I wasn't small anymore. I wasn't quiet. "You can go to prison for what you've done. The evidence is overwhelming. Grace estimates 15 years, minimum, for both of you." Ryan's hands were shaking now. "Or," I continued, "you can return every dollar you've stolen, every single dollar, with interest. And then you can come work for me." "Work for you?" Emma said. "At Chen Audio Technologies. Minimum wage, 5 years. You'll learn the business from the ground up. You'll learn what it means to build something instead of stealing it. You'll learn what your father tried to teach you and failed." "That's insane," Victoria said. "They're not going to." "Victoria, you don't get a vote. You're banned. From the company, from any family assets, from everything. Ryan can stay married to you if he wants, but you won't see a dime of Chen money ever again. That's non-negotiable." Ryan looked at his wife, at me, at the floor. "And if we say no?" Emma asked. "Then I pursue charges. You go to prison. I liquidate Chen Technologies to pay back the people you stole from. And I build a foundation with Chen Audio Tech to help elderly women who've been abused by their families. Women like me, women your father wanted me to protect." "You'd destroy Dad's company?" Ryan said. "It's not his anymore. It's yours. and you've been destroying it yourselves. I'm offering you a chance to save it, to save yourselves, to become people your father would have been proud of." Emma was crying, real tears this time. "Why? Why would you give us anything after what we did?" "Because your father asked me to." In his last message, he said you were his failure, not mine. He said he'd taught you all the wrong things, but he believed people could change. He believed in second chances. So I'm giving you one, but just one. I stood up and walked to the door. "You have 24 hours to decide. Call Grace with your answer. If I don't hear from you by tomorrow at noon, the charges get filed and you're on your own." I left them there in the staged house, in the emptiness they'd created. Grace was waiting in her car down the block. "How'd it go?" she asked. "I don't know yet." "Did they take the deal?" "They have until tomorrow." She drove me back to Russian Hill. We didn't talk. I watched the city go by, the city where I'd lived for 45 years, feeling invisible. I wasn't invisible anymore. The call came at 11:47 a.m. the next day. Emma's voice was small. "We accept your terms." 3 years later, I'm standing in the Chen Audio Technologies headquarters in Soma, watching Emma present our new program to a room full of investors and healthcare executives. "The Eleanor Project," she says, and I smile at the name she chose without asking me first, uses AI-generated personalized music therapy to help Alzheimer's patients recover memories and emotional connections. In our trials, 78% of participants showed significant improvement in cognition and quality of life. She's good at this. They both are. Ryan runs our outreach program, connecting with senior centers and memory care facilities across the country. They work 60-hour weeks for $12 an hour, and they're better at it than they ever were at running their father's company. Chen Technologies declared bankruptcy 6 months after they left. The embezzlement had gone deeper than anyone knew, but the people who'd been stolen from got paid back, every penny, from Emma and Ryan's frozen accounts. Victoria divorced Ryan 3 months into his sentence. Last I heard, she married a real estate developer in Dubai. Dr. Harrison is in prison. Turns out he wasn't a doctor at all. And me? I run a company worth $400 million now. Chen Audio Tech went public last year. I've hired 300 people. We've helped over 50,000 patients. I also started the Margaret Chen Foundation for Elderly Financial Abuse Prevention. We've recovered $17 million for victims and put 23 abusers in prison. Grace is on my board. She retired from her law firm and now works pro bono for elderly women who've been taken advantage of by their families. I still live in Russian Hill, but I bought my own place. 3 bedrooms. One for me, one for Grace when she stays over, and one for Robert's record collection, which I bought back from the collector for $90,000. I play them sometimes, especially at last. Last week, Emma came to my office after her shift. "Mom," she said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course. Why did you really give us that choice?" "The truth." I thought about it. About Robert's voice on those recordings, full of love and regret. About the quiet years of making myself small. About the moment I stopped being invisible. "Because your father was right about one thing," I said. "You weren't born cruel. You were taught to measure worth in money. That was his failure, and mine too. I saw it happening, and I stayed quiet. But people can learn new lessons. You're learning them now. It's hard," she said. "The work, the pay, knowing what we lost. That's the point. Easy things don't change you." She nodded and stood to leave, then stopped. "The Eleanor Project. The one I presented today. I had another name for it originally." "What was it?" "The Margaret Chen Recovery Project. For women recovering from being invisible." She smiled. But Eleanor sounded better. After she left, I pulled out the old photograph I keep in my desk. Robert and me, 23 years old, dancing in that tiny apartment to Etta James. Poor and happy and young. I'm 68 now. Not invisible, not small. And every day, I help other women find their way out of the quiet places where they've been hiding. Every day, I play their song. And every day, I win.